So this is the 2025 Republic Juggernaut. Man, this thing is tiny. This thing was how much? Well, at least we finally got Galactic Marines. God forbid we get an actual waist cape. Although this poor guy can't even sit down. And what the heck is up with these brick-built wheels? This thing hits one pothole at Ryloth, the whole thing's toast. Actually, come to think of it, you know who makes the most tires out of any company in the world? Lego. We couldn't spare a couple for this. Not sure why this piece is completely detached from the build. Inside we have some decent interior with plenty of seats for Galactic Marines that are conveniently locked behind this $160 paywall. There's more interior space back here, but you're just gonna have to trust me because this doesn't even open. It's okay because our heavily armed turbo tank is armed with not one, not two, but 3 stud shooters. At least there wasn't many stickers. So clearly the Republic Juggernaut here has a ton of issues, which is a real shame because I have been looking forward to a new turbo tank from the LEGO Star Wars line for quite some time, and this build was just so disappointing and doesn't feel anywhere near worth $160, despite the inclusion of Commander Bakara and Galactic Marines for the very first time. However, I went ahead and I did the unthinkable and I purchased a second copy of this set, which is gonna make this one of our most expensive videos to date, so do me a favor, please hit that like button. Today, we are gonna be building the Double-naut, designed by Brick Horizon. This rebrickable model consists of 1,156 pieces, requires 2 copies of 75413, the Republic Juggernaut set, as well as 20 wheels in Pearl Dark Gray, which are part number 2903, which did unfortunately cost me $42 from Bricklink. This build looks phenomenal though, and looks way closer to what I was expecting to get as an updated turbo tank from the LEGO Star Wars team for this past summer wave here in 2025. I just purchased my instructions here, which cost me $12, so let's get building. You know what's worse than building this set? Taking it apart. In universe, this thing is a beast. In LEGO form, this is just sad. So I just got done breaking down the Republic Juggernaut set that I built and combined it with the pieces from the sealed bags in the second set. I've organized everything by part type to make the build process go a lot smoother for this rebrickable build. Here we have 2 bins of medium and large plate, 1 bin of brick, 2 bins of small plate, 2 bins of our tile pieces, and then the last bin contains all of our Technic and miscellaneous parts. I also have our 20 Pearl Dark Gray wheels that I picked up from Bricklink, so we are officially ready to start building. So after approximately 8 hours of building, I'd like to present to you all the Double-naut designed by Brick Horizon. Now, here on the channel, we've done several rebrickable videos here already. We've built some classic space vehicles, haunted houses, pirate ships, and of course, many castles. This, by far, was the worst rebrickable build that I have ever done in my life. In fact, I was not able to build the model based on the instructions provided by Brick Horizon on his rebrickable page. I had to make several modifications just to complete the model and get it to where you see it is today. It was very frustrating throughout the entire build because a lot of the connection points are not strong. The circular pieces that make up a lot of the original set are not good in terms of support, so they continue to fall off throughout the build process. However, I don't want to place blame on Brick Horizon's shoulders because at the end of the day, for all of the rebrickable designers out there, what they do is truly incredible. To take a set with pieces that is initially intended for one build and to take those same pieces and parts and turn them into a completely different model is just beyond incredible and something that I'm not capable of, nor do I think I will ever be capable of it. So in the future, I will be building more of Brick Horizon's designs. I don't want this to taint his image whatsoever because I think this model is great from a distance, but I have to be very careful with it because it is by far the most fragile LEGO set that I have ever put together, and I fear that some pieces will fall apart throughout this review, but I'm going to be as careful as I can, so let's start off with the positives. So the main thing that I love about this rebrickable model is the size. The scale of this build is much closer to what I was hoping we were going to get in terms of the official set back in August for that Star Wars wave. And I want to credit Brick Horizon for using the parts from 2 copies of the official set and beefing it up to this scale because this size turbo tank is exactly what I want for my personal collection. The next thing that I love particularly about this set is the fact that Brick Horizon made the decision to add Pearl Dark Gray wheels to this build instead of relying on the circular brick built wheels. I absolutely hate those. These large scale wheels make the build actually feel like a Republic Juggernaut that would roll up on the beaches of Kashyyyk. Brick Horizon also did a phenomenal job adding more weaponry to the Republic Juggernaut, especially these missile launchers, which appear to be popping out of the side of the hull. There's also mini laser cannons here on the front, as well as larger ones on both sides of the Juggernaut. This laser turret located on the back portion of the turbo tank is also beautifully designed. I also love the design of the lookout tower, and there's plenty of room to fit one of your Galactic Marines in it, however, it cannot be lowered. Another huge plus that this build has going for it is the amount of interior space it offers compared to the official set, which you can easily access if you carefully lower all the side panels. You could fit a ton of Galactic Marines inside this, as well as several Jedi, and that's exactly what I'd want from a turbo tank set of this scale. Unfortunately though, you just saw that the main connection point for the ladder panel here in the back broke very easily, and that's why I don't even want to attempt to place any minifigures in this for fear of breaking more pieces off. And that weak connection point is a perfect segue into discussing the negatives and downsides of this particular Rebrickable build. The main reason as to why it was so frustrating to put together is because when you'd have one connection point or one piece start to fall off the main build, you'd then want to go fix it, and in the process of doing that, several other pieces would start to fall off, or other connection points would start to fail, just because the model itself is just so fragile. So even though I made some minor modifications to the back portion of the roof to keep it upright, there are still some really weird gaps in the back portion of the turbo tank here that don't look good at all. Also, you have your translucent blue window pieces which don't line up, which really bothered me, even though it says they're supposed to line up in the instructions. And the other thing that I hate about the shaping of the back portion of the turbo tank, which I understand is a really strange shape to capture in Lego form, is the fact that you have these exposed Technic pieces here, which these weren't even the original Technic pieces in the design. The original design in the instructions has you use this red piece with no stopping pieces. So every time I would go to maneuver the build in such a way, this piece would just slide out, which would contribute to the failure of the back portion of the roof. So I had to add these two yellow Technic stopping pieces right here, just so that this whole thing would stay in place. The last big thing that made this build virtually unbuildable was the middle two wheels here in the center of the build. I do have to say the suspension design for the front two sets of wheels and the back two sets of wheels are phenomenal, because you have these 6x8, I believe, black plates holding the suspension underneath the turbo tank, which prevents it from falling out. However, that wasn't the case for the middle suspension, and without having that bottom plate protecting the Technic elements, there was a, once again, red Technic pin that would consistently fall out, which made this middle axle completely dislodge from the build every time I went to move it, and that was incredibly frustrating. So I had to modify it in a similar fashion to the front and back two sets of wheels. So even though this double Juggernaut build may look very good from afar, unfortunately, due to the high cost of the pieces required for this build, as well as the flawed instructions and excruciating build process, this is the first Rebrickable model that I cannot recommend anybody go out and build, which is a real shame because I love Star Wars and this is one of my favorite vehicles. I was very much looking forward to building this specific model. I also cannot recommend anybody go out and buy the official Republic Juggernaut set at $160. That is just way too much for what you get, and all the flaws that come with it between the build as well as the minifigures are just not worth it. So if you are interested in that set for your collection, I would highly recommend waiting for a sale. I would not pay more than $100 for that set. I did, yes, pay $160 for 2 copies of that set at full price, with the intention of building this model for today's video. But at the end of the day here, I think the main problem is that Brick Horizon did not build this model in real life yet. They have not had the opportunity to go through their own instructions and experience the build process and understand all the flaws that this fragile build has. Hopefully they will get a chance to do so and they can update the instructions. They did put out a video on their own YouTube channel, which I will link down below, make sure to go check them out and subscribe, because Brick Horizon has put out many good rebrickable models, but the video that they did put out in regards to this build only shows 3D rendered images, not real life footage of them actually building it. So hopefully they can get that figured out, so anybody else out there who decides to go and build this in the future will have a much better build experience. But if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below in regards to the Republic Juggernaut as well as the Double-naut build. We are going to be doing lots more rebrickable videos here on the channel, so it is a perfect time to subscribe. We'd also love to have you join our Slapshotbricks family. So with that being said, don't stop shooting until you score, and you can watch more of our LEGO videos on the end screen now.